Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Coping with Life. I'm your host, Scott. Welcome to Season 2, Journey into the Unknown, Episode 23. It is October 29th, 2022. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're chasing all of your dreams, and I hope everything that you're aiming for comes true. So, it's gonna just be a short ramble. Not really sure where I want to go today. I'm not feeling well, as per usual, but I keep it true, keep it honest. I'm not doing too well. Not gonna go into details, but just I hope you're doing well. I'm cheering for you. I'm rooting for you, no matter where you are in the world. So, well, I can recap you of Words Hard. I can recap on the last week or so. So, last week I talked about Taylor Swift and her Midnight album, which I could have done 22 jokes because it was episode 22. She had a song on Red called 22. I did not. I did not do that. But that album has grown on me a lot. I do prefer going to her older stuff, but Midnight Rain is still my favorite song on the album. But yeah, moving away from that, I'm still learning Japanese, and I'm getting into more of the difficult stuff that is really, really hard for me. Trying to I know this may sound weird, but it's not, singular words that I'm focusing on, but it is proper phrases. And I'm having a lot of a hard time because I have a hard time speaking in general, and just beating myself up and going through the stuff that I go through on a daily basis. Because life is hard, words are hard, and I get frustrated. So trying to string proper phrases in proper use cases, and it's difficult. I'm still loving it. I'm still working really hard to do that, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say a few things that I've been debating about. I'm lost. I'm confused. There's so much stuff going through my head. A lot of stuff that I'm beating myself about. Choices. Do I do this? Do I do that? And I'm a planner. That's what I do. I plan things. I forecast possible outcomes, formulate, okay, so with this example, because maybe this may help you in your life, or you may think I'm crazy. Either way, this is how my brain works. So let's start with A. So we have us. You have you have me. So that's A. So you now have, let's say you have three choices. B, C, D. Yes, B, C, D. Now, B branches off of A, but let's say WH is after B. And then you have K and I on D. But C, you can't foresee what it's going to branch off to. You can forecast, the other two, and it's like, okay, these are the possible outcomes from those. But for C, there's that unknown factor that you don't know what would come after, because either the stakes are too high or it is stuff that you can't control. And so you can't plan for that. I like sports. So, on any game, you have, let's say you have American football, the NFL, the National Football League. Not playoffs, but regular season. You have three outcomes. You have home team wins, away team wins, tie. You have those three factors. So, no matter what, either no team wins and no team loses and count as a 0.5, and it is part of the record as 0 wins, 0 losses, tie. But you have either one team wins, one team loses, or on the rare case, a tie. Those are the three outcomes. And that's cool. That is it's just a thing. And you have, they play 4 quarters of a football game, 15-minute quarters, and a possible overtime. But, you can plan for that. Either, your team wins, your team loses. And the options can be, infinite if you really think about it. Not just on football. I'm just going back to my analogy. You can plan for most majority things. And when it comes to sports, when it comes to life, or anything that I do, I think of potential outcomes and plan. Like, I'm planning a trip to Japan. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen financially, but I'm going to try. Absolutely, I'm going to try. Yeah. People like me don't get to do things like that. I hear that all the time. I hear that all the time. But, the outcome is either I go or I don't. Now that would be the next level. And then you can have the underlying branches underneath that, which would be okay, let's say I don't go. Then it's like, okay, well, what's stopping you? Well, either can't afford it because things are expensive, and but it could also be caused by other factors that would be out of my control. And that is something that you need to think about in your daily life. That there's a lot of people out there like me who try to analyze and try and break everything down, and see things like, all right, where did things break down? What happened? Just, was it in my control? Was it not out of my control? But, trying to live as positive as I can, finding the proper bucket that things go into, helps me, because, real time, I will do this real time for you process, and let's explore my psyche. So let's say an example, that I really want to do thing, maybe go to a sports game or concert. What would be a good thing to shoot for? Okay, well, let's say that I want to next week, maybe next week, I think it's next week, is the NASCAR finals, and let's do that. So I think next week is the NASCAR finals, where they're going to crown the champion. So let's say I want to go to Phoenix, Arizona for that. Now, I have to be realistic, obviously. Unless something drastic happens, that's not going to happen. That's not realistic. I have $5 in my bank account. Not happening. I don't drive, don't have a car, and getting from Oregon to Phoenix, Arizona next week, and procuring a ticket to a championship event, then, things stack up, right? Logistically and logically, things stack up because you then may, oh, that would be cool to do. And then I might go, okay, well, let me do research, and then it's like, okay. Then it's like, let's say I do get a hotel there, and then get my way down to Phoenix, Arizona. And then it's like, okay, well, then, food. Then getting to the track, getting from the track, where exactly is the track located, and just, it's like, what gate, what. So there's so much that goes into those things, and it's like finding what hinders, or things that you can tweak. And you can't always do that. And it depends of what you do in I will give you an example of a previous thing that I planned to near perfection. So May 18th or May 22nd of 2018, I went to see Taylor Swift. Reputation in Seattle, Washington. I near perfectly planned that methodically. I took a Greyhound bus from Portland to Seattle. I couldn't afford a hotel. I couldn't afford many things. But what I did was, okay, can I get there? Okay, how much is that going to be? Good. The concert ticket, which I bought before I made a plan. But once I bought the concert ticket, I then went, I'm going to make a way. And I did. I'm very proud of myself of doing that, and it was a very long day. But I made it to the Greyhound station in Seattle, and then I walked to what was the CenturyLink field. It's now the Lumen field, or I think. But I walked there. Took me a time to be there, and then I waited until doors open and saw the concert. But then I was able to get the last bus down to Portland, and then I walked home. So that was a very, very long day, but I did that all in one day because I planned for everything. Now sometimes I wanted to do something, and then I had to plan for other things. So when I lived in Dallas, Texas, I loved going to see hockey games and basketball games. But I lived I was still in Dallas. I still lived in Dallas, but I was 2 hours away from the stadium, which was where the Dallas Stars and Mavericks played. I was 2 hours away. I was via transit that and to get home, when I took the streetcar, the DART, to the place to catch the bus, that always ran on special event timing. but the buses to get to near where I lived, they didn't run on those times, and it was very limited. So I had to leave. Normally I left third quarter of the basketball game. Hockey game, if it was a late game, I would actually stay the entire game, but immediately leave and then take an alternate route, which I was okay with. If it was an early game, then that would be no big deal. But if it was a basketball game, I had to leave. It was about 3 minutes left into the third quarter to make it home. And it always resulted me in the long wait for the bus at one of the transit centers. But I knew that was the last bus of the night, so I planned things very meticulously. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at. I plan for everything. A trip to WrestleMania 33. Things happened, but that trip, even though that was still kind of scuffed, it was planned. Even though the original plan did not go through, but the core did. Because I was kind of planning that trip in I think it was September before, and then so I was in Texas, but then if you heard me before, that's not where I left. I left from, San Francisco. And so I try to make plans that they are very universal to, current circumstances, because, I'm planning a trip to Japan in August of next year. August of next year is a long ways away from now. But hands down. And I'm trying to plan for everything, and you can't. There's so many things that happen in that time that is out of my control. So with the example of going to the NASCAR race next week, there is mathematically, statistically, 0.1% chance probability that dream of going to the championship race next week is gonna happen. That's not a possibility. But things change and ebb and flow. Now, that going to affect next week? Probably not. But being able to use my brain and the way that I formulate things, I'm well aware that, with anxiety and fear of embarrassment and other things that I struggle through with depression, and things stack. Every day is a little bit different with me. With many various things. But, you know, I try and go, oh, I want to go do the thing. And then I will 100% look at the ways of, okay, can I do this? Is this possible? You know, I'm very determined. That's something that I like about me, and I'm very resilient. So a couple of years ago, I went to New York. I saw Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And I chose very meticulously that I wanted to go in February. We actually saw it the Super Bowl. We saw it Super Bowl Sunday. With the Rams versus the Patriots. I remember that very, very well. And the planning that I did. And that was, you know, that was long-term booking. That was long-term plan. I did both days. I did both shows in one day. And it was very meticulous planning. And I barely achieved it. And there was a lot of things out of my control. And I get stressed out easy, I get worried, I get flustered, and it affects my attitude. So, flying home, that was an ordeal, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a late flight back home. And so we got the last plane, and again, I am very I like doing things, but there was an issue. Weather, bad weather, and just there was a window of opportunity that the flight was actually going to take off due to a lot of things, but weather of the place that we were landing going to. So leaving the airport, just it was very frustrating. Things I can't control. You know, bad weather can appear relatively out of nowhere. But you know, the things I can't plan for. Going back to the early analogy, you know, that's option C. I can't plan for that just showing up. It's always a possibility, saying that, and so while that's happening, I'm like, okay, what is my current finances? Oh, and so it's like, okay, what if this happens? Okay, cool, but if not, what are my options? What, and so I use my brain, I use my thinking, I use things to the best knowledge. And there's a lot of things out there that, you know, I'm not the best at. And so with that, I just I mean, it would be nice to have a surplus of money, but out of my control and not happening, Captain. But that's a little insight of my little brain. And there's a lot of things that I want to do, none I can achieve. But I just saw it randomly on the fly that I should, open up on that. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. And I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you have a wonderful day. Love you all. I care about each and every one of you, no matter where you are in the world. If you're planning for things, I hope they come true. And I hope so much you find a reason to smile today. And I hope you do amazing things. It is noon. My time. And if you're in Japan, it's 3 in the morning. Or almost 3. But thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you for listening to me, and I'm glad that I could give you a little insight of the planning of my brain. Alright. So please find a smile and tell the people in your life you love them and that they matter to you. Because when they're no longer in your life, it hurts. So hug the people, tell the people you love them, that they matter to you. Because you don't know what they're actually fighting for, dealing with. So with that said, I love you all. I bid you adieu.